Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into First Pitch for Monday, October 17th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Tony Finn and Adam Trigger of WagerTalk.com, and we are talking MLB postseason baseball. We got a Game 5 going tonight. First going around the horn here, Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI. Check him out, WagerTalk.com. Trig, welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you.
Happy Monday, Drew. Looking forward to doing the show with you guys. I thought we had a great show last Monday, and a lot of the stuff we talked about kind of panned out as far as the division round played out to this point. So looking forward to breaking down Phillies Padres with you guys, and yeah, it's going well.
Good, man. Yeah, hopefully a lot of these predictions can pan out this time around for this upcoming week, guys. We'll be going live right now, 2 o'clock Eastern time for First Pitch Monday. Also tomorrow, we'll be doing this same go around talking about the games as well. So come back and join us. Next up here, Tony Finn. Tony, the ageless one, Tijuana Tony, known by some. Welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
Good. Thank you. It's Monday. It's a good day. Woke up. A chance to screw something up and piss my wife off. It's a good day.
A good day it is. And we have a Game 5 tonight, guys, in the American League, division series here for the chance to go to the championship round against the Houston Astros. The last slot available here, it will be the Cleveland Guardians, used to be Indians, versus the New York Yankees. We are seeing Aaron Savali and Jameson Taillon as the slated starters tonight, Trig. 7.5 being the total. Yankees minus 150-ish favorites. Man, this is Yankee Stadium, heading to the Bronx here. Winner take all game. What are you thinking about tonight's action?
Well, Drew, as far as this game is concerned and the series is concerned, I'm not going to lay that juice with the Yankees. The Guardians they've kind of proven that they can hang in this series with what they've done so far. And I'm going to let Tony's got a bigger take on this than me, so I'm not going to steal his thunder here. But before we went on air, he talked about how they might go into the bullpens early. And with that being the case, I just don't know how you could lay that juice with the Yankees. So I don't have a huge opinion on this game. I haven't had this was the one series where I kind of didn't want to back the dog initially. I didn't want to lay it with the Yankees. It's a series I've kind of stayed away from. But if they're into the bullpens early, I don't see how you could not go with the Guardians, given what the price is, right? Like if it gets to the 5th or 6th inning, and you're into the bullpens. I would say that that's probably a crapshoot at that point to an extent. Yes, it's in the Bronx, but I prefer having the plus money than having to lay like $1.50 with the Yankees. So my lean here would be the Guardians.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down. Tony, coming to you. I mean, to Trig's point, the bullpen kind of favors the Guardians here. Not only just recency, looking at their bullpen whip the last month, the last couple weeks, but also because of usage. Their high leverage guys are all going to be available, whereas on the Yankees side of things, there's some question marks there. They're thinking about putting Nestor Cortez back in the bullpen, so watch out for that as well. But got to think late innings here, to Trig's point, might favor the Guardians, plus price as well. What are you thinking in the Bronx?
Absolutely. Both of you have spoken the truth, and everyone should listen to the truth. And that is that Savali is first off, the Yankees didn't want to be here in this situation. And one of the things we'll talk about when we start talking about the championship series is how everything changes from series to series now. You go from a 3-game, 5-game, then the next thing we know, we're in a 7-game series, and everything changes about how managers manage a team. And tonight's game, as Trig just said, it's a bullpen. This is bullpen games. In fact, it's not legal. I don't believe it's legal. there's a few things wirelessly legal, but in Major League Baseball, but Houston kind of made some of that stuff pretty difficult to get okayed. And that is, these guys are going to be on the phones. I mean, Savali's not. This is a bullpen game. As soon as there's one sign of trouble especially from a Cleveland, from Savali, and that is, you're right. Listen, they're high leverage guys. They're 3 top guys. Class A, even the Morgan Centers, Hedges. Every single guy did not pitch in game 4. They're rested, and you said it. They have an edge here over the Yankees bullpen, which has been kind of messy since they kind of took their first half monster run, and where they looked like they were the perfect team and that they weren't going to ever lose again, to coming back to earth and having some issues with ex-closers that were money, triple digits at one time, and not putting them on the roster, and who's on the roster, who's not. And you're right, Cortez will work out of the bullpen tonight. I promise you, you're going to see Cortez if this is a close game and they need a left-handed pitcher. New York, just for, even if it's for one batter. So really an interesting game, Drew and Trig. Really interesting. I find this game more interesting than any of the games we've seen so far between Cleveland and New York. It's going to be fun to watch, at least in my orbit.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a great one to watch, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Winner take all, game number 5. Winner advances, loser goes home. Both teams fighting for their playoff lives, Cleveland and New York. Also want to touch on Philadelphia and San Diego here, guys. Tuesday, October 18th, first pitch, game number 1, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific here in Petco Park. This is going to be a heck of a scene here, Tony. They've been waiting a long time for this in Southern California. Yu Darvish got a heck of a pitcher on the mound, talking about the Friars. Hey, Zach Wheeler, he's no guy to look past. He's a pretty good pitcher himself. 6.5 the total. The market telling us runs are going to be at a premium. We're seeing the Padres minus 120 to as high as minus 125, so minus $1.25 at most shops right now. From a series perspective, game 1, if you got something here, Tony, what are you looking towards here, Phillies and Padres?
Well, it's funny. Friday night when I was doing late night with Gabe, Sports Rage, the Dodgers had yet to lose, right? And we spoke a lot about the Dodgers because we talk a lot about the Dodgers. I criticize the Dodgers a lot, and Gabe's a huge fan of the Dodgers, so it's good radio. At least it's fun to argue back and forth and kind of tease each other. Here's the deal. This is what I said. I said, if you and I are at a bar, on Tuesday night, and this game just happens to be on the TV, we might watch it. But this is not what the networks wanted. They didn't want Phillies. Philadelphia's a big enough market, but they didn't want San Diego, Philadelphia. We all know they wanted the Metropolitans and the Dodgers basically in this setting, or the Braves, should I say, too, in this setting to move into the World Series. So there's a lot of question marks, but I'll tell you right now, if you can, raise your right hand or put it on the Bible and tell me exactly what's going to happen in this series, you have a really good idea, you have your arms wrapped around either one of these two teams, then I'm listening. I'm all ears, because I did pick the Padres to defeat the Mets in a series price. I thought it was a good price. I thought if they can get game 1 in a 3-game set, and I thought they had a really good chance at 155 rather than play the game, which I think was 140. I played the 155 series and got that. I didn't, however, like the Padres against the Dodgers. So do I like the Padres against the Phillies? I like the Padres against the Phillies a lot more than I like the Padres against the Dodgers, and they put a number on the Dodgers, who struggle. The Phillies are much like the Dodgers offensively in many ways, and that is they go into slumbers. They go into these they're sleepwalking at times, and they couldn't hit a ball on a tee if you set it up there for them. And other times, if it's right, then you're going to have to score 6 runs to beat the Phillies, right? Wheeler's a pretty good setup in this game 1. In game 1, I'll just go and spill the beans. Already for game 1, I'm on the Phillies over the Padres because of the matchup, because I'm a big fan of Wheeler, and I just think that everything sets up nicely. Both of these teams, Drew, they think they've already won the World Series, right? They're much further than either expected to be, or maybe not the players, but the media and the fans, and much of that resonates and soaks in and is absorbed by players. So I think they're both happy to be here, and they're going to be playing loose. and a lot of things that are going to surprise us will happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah, this is a fun series.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those series. I think Tony was kind of touching on this, Trig, and in terms of like the predictability. I think it's kind of difficult here. You know, I could see a lot of different outcomes happening in this Padres Phillies series. Interested in your thoughts. I mean, and also to Tony's point, when you look at both of these pitchers' stats, very good, also very good against the opponent they're going to be facing here. And again, you know, with a total of just 6.5 here, the market kind of onto it. Also, interesting note before I throw it over to you, Trig. This is the first ever League Championship Series matchup between teams each with fewer than 90 regular season wins. Thought that was interesting, guys, in terms of just, hey, it's never really happened before of teams not being as successful in the regular season, catching fire at the right time, though, Trig. What are you thinking, Padres and Phillies?
Well, Drew, I mean, the catching fire at the right time was really like the whole premise of our discussion last week. So last week's show, we talked about the division series, and I think you kind of kicked it over to me at one point. It was like, do you just take the plus money in these series? And my response was, I'd be shocked if you do worse than 2-2. And
we're already to 2. We're 2-1.
We're already
right
to
now.
2. Exactly.
Yeah.
If you did that, you're not going to do worse than 2-2. And actually, you have a chance to go 3-1 if the Guardians get it done tonight. But what happened here that's very interesting is the Phillies and the Padres both advanced, and now I don't know that the books really like know how they want to book this series. So one of the things I noticed last week was that the books are very sharp, as they always are, and in my opinion, they, like, for example, like I kept trying to find good spots to jump in with the Padres, but I felt like they were booking it to need the Padres, and they really did their best to attract Dodgers monies. Like the Dodgers money, there was some really attractive prices on the Dodgers in that series against the Padres. Now you're getting the Phillies and the Padres, which I don't know that there's like this is really a coin flip type series on paper to me. When you look at these two teams, Drew, you already said the fact that the stat neither had gotten to 90 wins. You have two teams that haven't met since late June, and two teams that are quite different than they were in late June. The Padres went out, made some moves at the deadline. The Phillies changed their manager. You really do have a lot of unknown coming into this series, and I don't think that the books really know how they want to book this yet. But what I can tell you what's going to happen is the betting public is going to gravitate toward one of these teams at some point, and the odds makers are going to have to play off that a little bit, and that's probably your chance to get some value on the other side. Because I think when you look at this matchup, Drew, I think you can make a pretty good case for both of these teams and why they could advance to the World Series, which is not uncommon. Usually by the time you get to this point, you've got usually it's two elite teams playing against each other. So you have to look for overreactions to really justify betting. And I have a feeling that this series is going to produce some overreactions at some point, possibly off of what happens in game one. So it'll be really interesting to see. I don't disagree with Tony and liking Wheeler. I mean, he's been outstanding. Wheeler's been so good since coming back from the tendonitis. 27.1 innings pitched, only 4 earned runs. That's a 1.32 ERA since he's come back. 24-3 strikeout to walk ratio. Both bullpens have been outstanding. Darvish has been outstanding down the stretch. He's been great in the postseason so far. And his ERA against the Phillies this season is 2.08. So there is really numbers on both sides. You look at the bullpens, like Hader's finally doing what the Padres expected. The Phillies bullpen sort of locked it down against the Braves. I think they gave up 2 solo home runs and then pretty much nothing else over the last couple games of that series. So there's a lot to like about both of these teams. But Drew, I do think at some point the public's going to come in and swing this, in favor of one of these teams. It's something might happen, a walk-off, like whatever. They're going to get behind one team, and then there's probably going to be value to go the other way, because I don't think there's a whole lot separating these two teams, and I don't think you've got a scenario where one is elite and one is not. So it's going to be really interesting to watch as the series goes on.
Yeah, this will be fun. Maybe look to snake the series, guys. Bet on is that how you would do it? Kind of bet the future winner of the series, the team that loses game one. Is that what you're pretty much getting at, Trig?
So, Drew, I guess what I'm getting at, just to be more specific, is like last week when we had the division series, we had 4 teams that came out of wild card weekend, and now they were playing 4 teams that were perceived to be elite. And typically, you know how the masses are going to bet in that scenario, okay? And in this case, we don't have that because we have 2 teams that are sort of like the darling team, right? Like the nothing to lose team. It's not nothing to lose team against the big boy, which you would know how it was going to bet. You'd know how they were, the odds makers are going to set it up. It's 2 teams that basically are in sort of the playing with house money role. And I just think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, it might be as simple as kind of going, the zigzag route. Like, for example, if the Phillies, win game 1, is there a big overreaction to the Phillies? If the Padres win game 1, are the Phillies suddenly way undervalued in game 2? I think it's more likely to happen here because you don't have the perception like you did like Dodgers-Padres, where it wouldn't have mattered if the Padres had won game 1. People are still going to be overconfident in the Dodgers. And I think you started to, see that a little bit in that series. But this, who knows? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the handle looks like from now until when the game 1 goes on Tuesday. But I would say keep an eye on the market because there might be a good spot to jump in this series where suddenly you're getting one of these teams way undervalued when it really should be closer to a coin flip.
Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter. Check him out on The Hustle Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern as well. WagerTalk YouTube channel. We got Tony Finn. He's at WagerTalk as well. Tony, just kind of going around the horn here, kind of closing thoughts before we shut this down, man. Anything else you wanted to throw out there with the MLB playoffs?
Yeah, I would say, as I said, when it came to the Phillies and the Padres, it applies to whoever is going to face Houston. And there's a couple of things that are real important. And again, we're going from 3-game series, 5-game series to 7-game series. And if you think what the managers did differently from regular season to postseason showed up in 3 and the 5, it's going to show up in the 7. And 3-game, what they did in 3 games is going to be so much different than what happens in the 7-game series. The adjustments are incredible. And it falls and leaks right down to us who are trying to that make, a lot of our livelihood depends on us being accurate on assessing what's going to happen, what might happen, what's the highest probability is a better way to term this that's going to happen. Note a couple things. Note that you can't, as Drew just said, as Trig just said, you can't over exaggerate or any kind of exaggeration. Aces are important, and when aces are pitching in the playoffs, the phone's not going to be touched quite as often in jams, especially early in the series. So early in this Philly and Padres series, I don't see much. But note that bullpens matter, and Trig went over this. Really, both bullpens, Atlanta, or at least Philly and the Padres bullpens were really good, especially the Padres. They made some changes in the Phillies bullpen, which Trig brought up last week, and it didn't work out in the first game when. It worked out. They still won, but it sure was shaky. Also note that home runs, it's still a walk, strikeout, and home run league, right? Cleveland's the aberration of this. They're the mirror image of maybe the 15 Royals that put the ball in the bat and put lots of pressure on defenses. Every single pitch, the defense could not be relaxed. They had to be, and it's exhausting. And I know New York's exhausted from that. But this one trend, which I read, and I think matters a bunch. And the team that hits the most home runs in a series, believe it or not, more home runs doesn't really equate to more wins in the regular season. To some degree it does. But if I told you that since 2016, the team that hit the most home runs was, and I'm trying to bring it up because I'm embarrassed a little bit. I didn't write it down because I didn't think we even talk about it. But here it is, 164-30 in the postseason. The team that out-homers its opponents in the series, in postseason play, 164-30. I find that incredible. There we go.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. And I guess that's a huge one pointing towards the Yankees here, Trig. Throw it over to you, man. Any closing thoughts before we shut this down?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, and it makes a lot of sense that the point that Tony just made. Look at the totals in these postseason games, right? Like you see, it's normal to see six and a half, 7.5 is a normal occurrence in the postseason. You don't see that during the regular season, so it makes complete sense that the team that's a more prolific home run hitting team would have a better record in the playoffs, because a lot of these games are decided by one swing of the bat or a timely swing of the bat, and that's how damage is done, right? Like you're not seeing many managers just allow guys to get in trouble without going to their bullpen. And when you're in a 5-game series, the bullpens are deeper because you have teams. They don't need a 5-man rotation like it is like they do during the regular season. So that's a really interesting statistic. I'm glad that Tony brought it up because it makes complete sense. And honestly, I would lean toward the Yankees tonight from just a matchup standpoint. The fact they're at home, like all of that would put me onto the Yankees. But Tony, I agree. The Guardians have the feel of this team that it's just like, I just don't want to bet against this team. The Royals the 2015 Royals are such a great example. On paper, it's not going to show up on paper, but this team just seems to do the little things needed to win games that don't always show up. So yeah, I have no interest in laying $1.50 with the Yankees or whatever it is. But that stat's hard to argue with, which is why it's such an intriguing game tonight, and why you're not going to see me get to the window with it. But as far as the other series is concerned, like I said, look for the overreaction. It might happen after game 1. It might not happen until game 4. But I would not count either of those two teams out. Phillies, Padres. I bet if one gets off to a good start, the other's going to have an answer at some point.
He's Adam Trigger. We heard from Tony Finn as well, guys. We got MLB postseason in full swing. Huge shout out to everybody joining us live. The real DJ X in the house. Dark as well. Raven, Ron, Kevin McHugh, Brandon. Thank you for joining us live. Please smash that like button, guys. Feel free to reply below in the reply section on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Hey, and enjoy the game. Game 5, winner stays alive, loser goes home, and we got a championship series on deck. First pitch starting tomorrow. So come back and join us tomorrow. Check out Adam Trigger, Tony Finn as well. WagerTalk.com. I am Drew Martin. Please smash that like button, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.